From Canada to Finland, a U.S. neo-Nazi fight club is rapidly spreading across the globe. Active clubs that use martial arts rather, arts to expose active clubs that use martial arts to espouse far-right fascist ideologies are proliferating in the U.S. and abroad. Tyrone Bowman Live. Let's talk about it for a few moments. According to a story written for The Guardian, just my glasses here, they seem kind of foggy, and I want to be able to read everything correctly. Yes, it's a late night edition of Tyrone Bowman Live. Hope everybody out there is doing well in the midst of all that we're dealing with and going through. So this is a story I want to talk about here for a moment. According to The Guardian, more than a dozen men wearing black masks and sunglasses, obstructing many open source investigators from easily identifying them, appeared in a Telegram video in front of City Hall in London and Canada during the month of June. Quote, mass deportations now, end quote. The men yelled in unison, holding up banners with the same slogan, quote, no blood for Israel, end quote. While this type of scene with masked men chanting is a relatively common occurrence in the U.S., this incident in Canada illustrated the underbelly of a surging global movement, neo-Nazi active clubs. American-born neo-fascist fight clubs are rapidly spreading across borders. London, a large Canadian city, which is a rust belt in the province of Ontario, has had a long history with the Ku Klux Klan, dating back to the 1920s and a racist murder of a Pakistani-Canadian family in 2021. But the arrival of an active club, which has also shown itself in other nearby towns and cities like Toronto, the country's largest metropolitan area, is a relatively new development. Quote, welcome to Hamilton, our city, one Telegram post from the same Canadian active club wrote with its symbol posted on a sticker beside a sign for one of Ontario's largest cities' folk family future. Around the world, Canada isn't the only country being introduced to these clubs, which are fitness and mixed martial arts groups operating out of local gyms and parks that espouse neo-Nazi and fascist ideologies, already proliferating across the U.S. and a number of states. Active clubs openly take their historical cues from the Third Reich's obsession with machismo and their modern inspiration from European soccer, hooliganism. Recent research published by the Global Project Against Hate and Extremism has shown that since 2023, these clubs are newly sprouting in Sweden, Canada, Australia, Switzerland, the UK, Finland, and for the first time in Latin America, with 2 chapters in Chile and Colombia appearing. According to Graphy research, there are now chapters in 27 countries, with new youth wings akin to Hitler Youth style clubs are surging statewide and abroad, metastasizing across Western countries and recruiting young men into toxic far-right ideologies encouraging race war. Quote, the active club, modeled, was designed by Rob Rundo and Heidi Burek, founder of Graphy. We're referring to an infamous neo-Nazi and New Yorker who pleaded guilty in 2024 to conspiracy to riot at 2017 political rallies in California. Around the time, Rundo was also the leader of the Rise of Movement, a neo-Nazi gang that had 4 of its members charged for their roles in the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, but later pivoted to spreading the idea of active clubs among followers as the new nerve centers for fascistic indoctrination and recruitment. You know, these organizations grow because people really don't think too much of them. But what you don't think about is the fact that when you sit back and you just let it happen because you say it'll never amount to anything, never underestimate your enemy in life, no matter what you do. The moment you begin to underestimate your enemy has power over your mind. As far as we can tell, Rondo isn't directly involved with chapters of the movement in a systematic way, but the chapters are inspired by him and the ideology he stands for, said Berwick. Berwick explained that although Rondo isn't likely to have a hand in these groups, it meshes with his original vision of active clubs being autonomous and local. But many of these chapters of active clubs in countries with large populations of white people, some of whom openly have gravitated toward racist nativism in recent years, promote each other as a global struggle and are linked in a network of accounts on the Telegram app. One set of accounts in particular that have become the sort of tastemakers among neo-Nazis online have promoted several local active club chapters across the world and applauded those they think are creating the effective models to emulate. The same accounts admire the work of Thomas Sewell, a well-known and violent Australian neo-Nazi who has been promoting active club style groups in his country. The organization, shown to be what every dissident group across European civilization seeks to emulate, said one admiring post above Sewell and his crew. Barrett said Sewell, who previously admitted to have personally tried to recruit the Christchurch mass shooter to one of his past groups, is aligned with Rondo's politics. Know everything about your enemy that you possibly can, just like your enemy studies you. You have to study your enemy. Whether you like your enemy or not, that's not the point. Know what your enemies are thinking. Know what your enemies are doing. Know what your enemies are planning at all times. Berwick said Sewell, who previously admitted to have personally tried to recruit the Christchurch mass shooter to one of his past groups, is aligned with Rondo's policies. Sewell, just like Rondo, is a violent neo-Nazi recruiting new members to prepare for violence against both political enemies and the communities he targets, such as immigrants, Jews, and the LGBTQ plus community, she said, adding that he was hosting MMA-style training and tournaments to attract new followers. The Ultimate Fighting Championship and the combat sports that fall under its purview have become a locus for the far right. Likewise, Sewell and Rondo have promoted learning these sports as a means of becoming street soldiers, akin to modern-day brown shirts for their movement. Other organizations which are more obviously political and engaging in public displays of activism have seen this model of trained violence as a means of recruiting and solidifying their ranks. Patriot Front, an American proto-fascist hate group known for public marches and propagandizing natural disasters, has outwardly linked itself to the active club movement. Its leader, Thomas Rusiner, recently posted a group image with himself and others doing grappling and striking training at a martial arts gym in North Texas. Just think about it. If this was some other group of people who were doing the same exact things in these countries, they would have been shut down even before they got started. Infiltration is the key that these people use, and ignorance is what they play upon. You know why they go for the young? Because they can't change the minds of older men and women. And the more so-called good people just sit back and don't say anything and let it happen, the next thing you know, they grow in power, they grow in strength. Barrett described how members of Patriot Front often work closely with active club chapters, including participating in their mixed marshals training. On Telegram, active club chapters regularly share Patriot Front propaganda. Tyrone Bowman, never surrender, never quit. Let me go to the comment section. Big Sausage from Canada said, "Hi, what's up, Big Sausage?" Somebody says, "I don't know what you mean." You just keep on tuning into the channel. You'll figure it out. All you have to do is listen. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't be naive. Pay attention. Never surrender. Never quit. Okay, guys.